Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Pennsauken's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub food. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm Billy Goble, and today our special guest is a friend of mine that I met at Disney, former cast member, former employee for the show over in Orlando called Medieval Times and in Baltimore, and he even does a little bit of stand-up comedy. Without further ado, my friend Justin Puig. Justin, welcome to the Goblay Show.
Thanks, Mr. Goblay. Pleasure to be here.
You already got me cracking up, man. I haven't even started yet. So, for those of you who don't know who Justin is, Justin Puig.
Puig. Yeah, Puig.
I said it right.
Like the car.
Right. Puig.
Puig.
Okay, Justin Puig. For those people are going to be like, why do you not know his last name? Because we used to work at Disney together, and nobody ever said anybody's last name unless you were like, either they didn't really know how to say your first name, or you just had that last name that kind of gelled, with everything else. I got a call, but I'll send that to voicemail. How about that?
Yeah, that's the professional thing to do.
Actually, that was our mother calling. That was
let's take it.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Justin and I are twins. Yes. Like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We still don't know which one's which.
I think I was, I just know one thing. I think I was born the first, like I was born first, like 2 or 3 minutes early.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was born breech because we were kicking each other.
They had a rock'em sock'em match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, guys, this is a good friend of mine, Justin. He worked with me at Disney, and we hit it off immediately. As you can't tell already, it's like we are brothers, and we say that all the time. And he has moved since back to the Northeast. He's up in Baltimore, right? He's up in Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore.
Good old Baltimore. And he is a jack of all trades. I mean, while he was down there working at Disney, he worked at Medieval Times. I think he hosted the Oscars one time.
Yeah, any job I could find where I had to still wear tights, that was like my requirement. Disney, Medieval
Times. That was a prerequisite.
Yeah. The ballet. I was an usher at the ballet, but I still wore tights.
Yeah.
There is no rule against it.
They're like, sir, you really don't have to do that. You're like, I don't mind it, really. I mean.
Yeah. It's so comfortable.
So, and you've, since you left the company, you dabbled, I want to say, in some stand-up comedy, which is was not hard to believe when you said that you were actually going to do that. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, like where you originally came from, and then eventually we'll get to where we met, and we'll take off from there.
No, I was born in Baltimore. Actually, the house that I live in right now is maybe 5 minutes from the house that I was raised in.
Okay.
My parents were interesting in that they bought a house on one street. It was called Haverhill Road.
Okay.
They bought a house near our church when my sister was born. Then when I was born, they sold that house and bought a house 10 houses further down on the same street.
Right.
Then when my next sister was born, they sold that house and bought a house at the very end of the street. And then when my brother was born, there were no other houses past that. So we just stayed put.
In the
I
cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I was worried we are going to move into the empty vacant lot across the street, like the feral cats do.
Was that where the biggest house was? Because I mean, you just named off like 9 siblings. I mean, it was
No, the houses got progressively smaller.
really
I don't know. No, it was the bigger house. That would be pretty funny though.
yeah.
So yeah, lived in that area. My grandparents lived on like down the road. Either way, I could like if I just ran straight, I'd run into a grandparent.
Gotcha.
My family all grew up in the area, so spent most of my life there. I was born in the 1900s.
The Pharaoh 1900s.
Yeah, the 80s of the
80s,
1900s. I was born in the
were a happening place, brother.
Yeah, which means that if I stood up from my chair right now, you'd hear all sorts of cracking.
That's no doubt right there.
Yeah, and yeah, my school. I went to Violetville Elementary School in Violetville, which was the neighborhood that I was raised in.
Violetville or Violet?
Violetville.
Oh, Violet. So what?
Like
Violet?
Like the color.
Yeah,
no,
gotcha.
But there was. We did have a gang that was like because there's another community not far from us called Morrill Park, and they had a gang. Our gang was the Violet Villains, which is as dangerous as it sounds.
Right.
And the rival gang was just the Steelers for some reason. It wasn't like Morrill Park was a steel town. Like they were a short distance away from us in another neighborhood. But they were just like, yeah, we're the Steelers. And it's like, okay, what's your logo? The NFL Steelers logo.
Right.
And it was weird because Bill Cowher coached them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was the gang leader. It was so strange. And he kicked our butts.
Bill Cowher would be like one of the coolest guys to meet. He looks like he would like, I don't know. You need him in a bar fight, like a street fight. You want to pick Bill Cowher. I'm just saying.
I bet if you called him by Bill, he wouldn't respond. You'd have to say Coach
or William.
I'd be worried about him in a bar fight, though. You don't want a guy whose name is Cowher when you're in a bar fight. You're not going to expect that guy to like step up.
True, but so besides Bill Cowher taking over
the neighborhood gang,
how did you make your way down to Florida?
So I ended up going to University of Maryland College Park for as a theater major.
Okay.
And I was there and they were like, hey, there's some auditions touring around different colleges to work for Disney. And I was like, oh, I'm going to audition for like Disney Studios. And this is going to be a huge break for me. And it was just a bunch of, Disney World casting people who came there and were like getting college students to. I remember like when I had to go, I went to a different college, Morgan State, and they had me do a dance as if I was a pirate to oh Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, but with Mickey Mouse in it.
Right.
And so they did that like whole dance audition, and then like partway through the dance, I think it was like an 8-count dance. And then when the dance was over, they were like, all right, and now you're in someone's living room and you have to hide. Go. And so we had to like animate that we were like hiding or what we were doing to like avoid any of that. And I was like, all right, good. This is worth paying for college for.
Money well spent right there.
Yeah, I had no dance experience or anything, but I happened to be the right height that they needed that year. So I remember I did the audition. My grandfather actually took me, and he sat in the audience and watched me do this ridiculous dance number. And then afterwards, we just drove home in silence. And then he was like, "So this is what you want to do with your life?" And I was like, "Honestly, I don't know." Like it was just something fun to do, an experience,
Yeah.
and then I waited for like 2 weeks to get an email to see if I got in.
Yeah.
And a funny story about that is that my computer lab at my college, the closest one, was in the basement of our parking garage, which is weird.
Sounds
Um,
amazing.
yeah, that's money well
In the
spent.
parking garage.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I didn't even have a car. So I just walked to the parking garage. Like no one does that without a car.
Did you have to pay like a ticket or anything to come in?
No, no. I just had to like get into this parking. And you know, the safest place for someone to be in the middle of the night is a parking garage.
Most
The
definitely.
basement of a parking garage.
Most definitely. It's where
Yeah.
I would pick.
Yeah, exactly. So I went down there and I checked my email and it was like, congratulations, you've been accepted for the Disney College program. In the I'm not going to say what role, so I don't want to ruin the magic.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Keep that integrity alive.
yeah. No
I'm
one
all
will
for
ever
that.
know.
I know,
Unless,
right? You'll never
unless
know. You'll never
they look at
you can't beat it out.
yeah, unless you look at my Facebook and see all the pictures I posted.
Well,
But
wait, before you go on, I wanted to go back to what you just said about how you had to go check your email, not conveniently from your pocket, but when you had to find a stationary computer with probably dial up, and you were probably using Hotmail, weren't you?
yeah, I had to make sure no one else in the parking garage was on the landline. But thank you, Billy, for emphasizing how old I
Sorry.
was.
Sorry. Hey, I'm the same age. I remember the dial up. Hey, I mean, come on, man.
this was 2004,
Yep.
so I didn't have a cell phone for like
Yep.
years after that. Still,
Yeah.
um, and so yeah. Anyway, I got in my horse and buggy, and I went to
And I said,
the
yeah.
parking garage. Yeah, and I get it, and I'm like, yeah, I did it. Like I landed a gig, like is how I saw it. I was like,
Yeah.
this is gonna be awesome. Like I've never really lived away from home before. Um, and so like as I'm leaving, a song pops into my head, and it's the song from Disney's Peter Pan, where they're like marching, and it's like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, diddy diddly dum today, and so I'm just like humming that to myself as I'm walking from the parking garage to my dorm to tell my roommates. And so I'm like, and then I hear a car door open from behind me, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then I hear someone running up behind me, and I'm like, oh, I'm naive. This must be a friend of mine. And
It's the Russian mafia.
I turned around and I got mugged. I I turned to my side and someone jammed a taser into my ribs.
Oh my God.
And I don't know if you've ever been tased before.
Not on purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe at a flea market and it went off by accident.
I also had never been tased before. So my body just went like totally rigid.
Oh yeah.
And this guy just like reached into my pocket to try to take my wallet. And like I'm a college student who was going to the parking garage to check his email. I don't have money.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even get my own computer. And I didn't know what to do. So I just like Frankenstein moved and just like swatted my stiff arm down at him and just went, no.
Wow.
And he looked at me and then he just ran and didn't take my wallet, got back in the car. And I got back to my room and I was like, so I got the internship. I'm going to be doing that. My roommate's like, awesome. I was like, and I also think I got mugged. Like unrelated. And they're like, you got to call somebody and let them know. And so I called campus security the next day. And they're like, yeah, someone matching that car and that description robbed someone else on the campus with a sawed-off shotgun.
Oh my!
And I was like, good Lord, I was the test subject.
Yeah,
I was like the dry run.
Yeah,
like I was like, I can just imagine like the getaway driver being like, look, a taser's not going to be enough. Yep. Like this guy is just too strong looking.
They're like, taser, nope.
Yeah,
you have to go bigger.
Yeah, let's go with the sawed-off shotgun. And if that doesn't work, get in the tank. We're just going to take them out.
Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I never got justice, but.
Wow, that's crazy. And I heard Baltimore was nice at that time of year. You know what I mean? Like,
well, this is, Baltimore. I mean, I came from Baltimore, so you think I'd be used to muggings.
Right.
But this was like College Park is just outside of D.C.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Like, isn't that where Jim Henson went? Was University of Maryland? Okay.
Yeah, my favorite thing about that is that Jim Henson went to University of Maryland. They have a statue of him with Kermit sitting on a bench outside of our like student union. But what they always fail to mention is that Jim Henson was like in the like theater area, and he was like, "I got this idea, Muppets," and they're like, "You're an idiot! Don't do that. That's dumb." And so he left college.
Yep.
And then he made the Muppets, and they're like, look at this genius who went to our school." Yeah, like you don't. We should honor him with a
statue.
Yeah, you don't get to take credit for that. You told him no.
Yeah,
like he came to you and you crapped on his dreams.
So having said that, especially in that area, you're talking about DC, we just came from there. And not like we moved. We went to visit over the holidays. And so we went to, all the touristy stuff, and
the Exorcist stairs.
To where?
The Exorcist stairs?
We didn't go
there. Oh, okay.
But it was on the list.
Yeah.
We went to Arlington, which is I love it. Arlington's such a cool place, and I had been there before on our senior trip. We actually went up there my senior year to DC and then New York. So we got a little taste of the bigger cities, coming from like a rural area in Florida, and like a car drove by and backfired like 6 times in a row, and everybody thought it was a drive-by. So they all like hit the ground and they look like dominoes, But we went to Arlington, and a teacher that I had named Jim Henderson. He was my biology teacher in 10th grade. He just recently passed away. Probably 3-4 months ago. I think it was like September-ish. But like 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually it was like I think it was January, middle of January. They buried him in Arlington, which was really cool. He was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. And so, lady that I know was telling me about him and how it was really cool. She's like, "Yeah, we just came from them up there." And I said, what were you doing? And she's like, "Well, Mr. Henderson was buried up there." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And she's like, "Billy, you just have no idea all the credentials he had. Like, this man had all these medals, and he had like all these missions in Vietnam. He was a real hero, And so I'm like, man, that's so cool. We never would have known that about him because he never talked about it. And normally the guys who never say anything did some really crazy stuff or saw some crazy stuff, So I'm telling somebody else the story. And I was like, "Yeah, Mr. Henderson, my biology teacher." And they're like, "That's amazing, all the things he did." I'm like, "Yeah, that nobody would have ever known." And then she's like, "Well, at least he had the Muppets." And I was like, gonna talk, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" And I said Jim Henderson, not Jim Henson. I was like, "What was Kermit flying Vietnam?" Like, hi-ho. I'm like, and he was my biology
I'll
teacher.
Find it, the enemy encampment.
The opium crisis.
Also, like that she thought that Jim Henson's career trajectory went like Vietnam, Muppets, Billy's biology teacher.
like he had a heck of a life, man. It was like, and I'm like, and I was I was a huge Jim Henson fan growing up. I mean, I still love the Muppets. I'm not afraid to say that. I love the Muppets.
Yeah.
I grew up on the Muppets. And when he died, I was like 8 years old. I was devastated, man. So when she's like, well, at least said the Muppets, I'm like, he died like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it was hilarious. But that's when I came to grasp that people only listen to half of what I say. So
what was that?
I said it only.
Just kidding.
Oh, come on.
I gotcha.
Yeah, you got me.
When you're talking about visiting,
I thought our audio went out for a minute. Great, we've had audio issues all day. I was like, he can't hear me.
When you were talking about the cars backfiring in DC, it just made me remember that this whole time that I was at College Park, it was also when there was the DC sniper.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
I do.
And so they're like, hey, for your own safety, when you're outside, walk in zigzag lines. So it was like and I was like freshly 18, like never had lived away from home. I was living on campus and I'm like going to school and everyone's just like, it was like the wildest thing. Like anytime a car would like people would be walking in a straight line, anytime they'd hear a car nearby, everyone would just start walking zigzag. It was like the beginnings of a flash mob. It was, I mean, aside from the sniping, it was awesome.
But that reminds me of like, what was it? The Sopranos when they had the black bears. Because there's a bunch of black bears in New Jersey. A lot of people don't realize how many there are. There's so many. I think they have more in New Jersey than any other state in the country. I think that's what someone said. So they did an episode where they had these black bears come start tearing up the trash in the yard and stuff. And this one of the old guys, and I'm not really familiar with the show, but one of the characters says, you know how New Jersey guy, if the bear's ever chasing you, just run sideways. They can't do that. Like run sideways. And the guy's looking at him like, what? Just run in a zigzag, like run sideways. They can't freaking do that. I'm like, okay. Some of the advice people give, just like that, is pretty crazy.
I was one time told by someone the worst bit of advice I might have ever received was that if a state trooper pulls you over and isn't wearing his hat, he can't write you a ticket because he's not in full uniform. At one time, I did it. I was driving with a friend. She was driving, and she was actually friends with Cinderella. While I was in Florida, and we made an illegal U-turn, and we got pulled over, and it was a state trooper, and he walked out of his car, and he didn't have his hat on, and I just got so smug. I'm just like sitting in the passenger seat and be like, "Don't worry, I got this." And he's like, "So do you know why I pulled you over?" And I was like, "Yeah, we did an illegal U-turn." And he was like, "Oh, so you admit that you?" I was like, "Yeah, but where's your hat?" And he was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Got no jurisdiction here. You don't have your full." Yeah, I was just spouting 19-year-old nonsense at this guy that I heard on like Law and Order. Like, you have no jurisdiction here. Like, I was this close to being like diplomatic immunity, but I was just like, "Yeah, you don't have jurisdiction here." And he was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "You're not in full uniform." And he goes, "That's not a thing." And I was like, "Yes, it is." I was like arguing with this guy. He goes, "Who told you?" I was like, "A guy I lived with at college who worked for the state parks." And he was like, "No, we can still write you a ticket."
State park.
Like, yeah. I was like,
Parks and Rec, baby.
Yeah. And he goes, "But that might be one of the funnier things anyone's ever said to me at a traffic stop." He's like, "So I'll let you guys off with a warning right now." And
nice.
I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Right now? Was he going to come back later? Or?
Yeah, I was like, well, he said right now because he saw
Did you have
my
dinner
eyes
plans or something?
we were about to keep doing illegal U-turns.
Did you say, can we get a police escort? This traffic is crazy.
Yeah. Sir, may I have your hat?
Sir, may I try on your hat and possibly fire your weapon? Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck, the delicious mobile coffee truck that brings you the caffeination inspiration you need. We deliver signature coffee products like our Nitro Cold Brew and Caramel Frappe to any occasion or festivity. And for those who don't like coffee, we offer a variety of delicious hot chocolates, energy drinks, lemonades, and teas. That's Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck. Speaking of like myths or like things that people say, people told me if I joined a cult, I wouldn't have to pay taxes. Anybody know about that? I'm just kidding. I didn't join a cult, but that's what I heard.
Don't pay taxes. Yeah.
That's a loophole, guys. I'm just kidding. Please do not send me any emails saying I'm joining a cult because Billy said they don't pay taxes. That's an old myth.
Yeah, that's one of the big reasons people join cults is the tax cuts.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was the only reason, really.
Well, also to go into space.
True. That is very true. So we kind of got off subject a little bit. So we're going to go back to you got mugged and you got the good news that you're coming down to Florida. So tell us what that process was like. Moving down, have you ever been to Florida before? I mean, I'm sure you visited, but now you have to learn the layout of the land and figure out where you're going and all that stuff.
So the job I got was in entertainment. So I'll say character performer, but I won't say who. But anyway, so I had been to Florida one other time, and it was for a family vacation when I was a freshman in high school. And we went to one of the character breakfasts. And there's a picture my parents still have of me with the character I would eventually become. And he's got his arm around me, and I just look so pissed and upset because I'm like 14 and my clothes are too big and like, it's so hot. And I'm just like pasty white and red.
Would that be at Crystal Palace?
Yes, that was at Crystal Palace.
That's a very good. That's a lucky guess on my half.
Yeah. And I was just like so angry, and I was like, wow, like it's like the cat's in the cradle, Now I've like come full circle here. But yeah, it's my first time moving out of state. Really, I went down there. My parents drove down with me. And you don't pick your roommates, you don't pick anything like that. Everything is just kind of assigned to you.
Right.
And so my full name is Justin Aaron with an Aaron, like Elvis.
Aaron.
Aaron, yeah. And so it's Justin Aaron Puig. And what ended up happening was that they abbreviated to Justin A. Puig, which then got abbreviated further to Justina Puig. So when I went down there and they assigned me a room, my parents
helped me
move into this room, and it was a room full of girls.
No way.
And I went, and like I was 19, I had never been on a date in my entire life, didn't know how to talk to girls, and now I'm like, well, hot dog. This is going to be like trial by fire. And I went in there, and my dad was like, how do I sign up for this internship? And
I love Florida.
Yeah, as soon as I walked in, the girls' parents were like, no. We need to talk to somebody. And they were like, oh, it's Justin A. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we do have a spot open. And they moved me in to this. The apartments there were basically like a living room with a kitchen in it, and then like 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Each bedroom had 2 beds. And so I get in there and I meet this guy from Oklahoma.
Okay.
And I'm talking to him, and we're both just like, hey, should we just like room together, like share the same room in this apartment so that we don't end up with the weird guy? Because there's always going to be a weird guy that ends up moving in. Yeah. And he's like, he goes, well,
usually third shift.
Yeah. He was like, I kind of want to take this back room. And I was like, I already have my stuff in this other room. I'm sure it'll be fine. And so our next couple people move in. There's a guy from Montana. There's a guy from Puerto Rico. And I'm like part Puerto Rican. So I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe he'll like move in with me. And they all pass. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? And then the last guy moves in, and he's this like guy from New Jersey. with like the Jersey Shore like spiked haircut and spray tan.
He's like,
And
the cabs are here.
yeah, and he's like, oh man, I'm gonna move into this room. I like this room right here by the front door. And he like lays down. I'm like, damn it. And this is like my first time meeting this guy. We all end up going out to a nice restaurant you might have heard of called McDonald's to get our first like meal as roommates.
McDonald's.
Yeah, so this is all within a couple of hours of meeting each other. That night, I'm going to bed for the first time on my own in Florida. This guy is 5 feet away from me in another bed, who I had just met. 3 o'clock in the morning, I get woken up by him, and he goes, "Hey, you got any chapstick?" And I was like, "What? No, why?" He goes, "My ass is real chapped." And I went, "What? No, even if I did have chapstick." He goes, "No, I put it on my finger first." I'm like, "No, still no."
No, because you got to reapply sometimes.
Yeah. He goes, all right. Well, if you get some, I was like, if I get some, like, yeah, if I get some, I'll buy you your own. We do not need to share chapstick because I only ever put that on my lips.
Oh my God.
And that was my roommate for the 5 months that I was on my first college program. Yeah. And when I went there, it was August of 2004. End of August is when the college program started. It ended the beginning of January 2005.
So you were there for all the hurricanes?
Yes. As soon as we got there, like it went into like martial. They declared like martial law.
Martial law, brother.
Yeah, they shut everything down. I remember we weren't prepared because none of us had cars. So we could only get where the buses would take us, and the buses stopped running because of martial law. Oh, yeah. So we had like no food in our apartment. So we like walked in the hurricane. Like I think there were like 2 hurricanes back to back that year.
Yeah, there were 4 that year, bro.
Ah, fantastic.
Yes, well, even better. 4.
Yeah, they shut down. Like it was one of the first times they shut down the parks. Like they had some of the characters like staying in the tunnels overnight so they could come up and like visit with guests, which was nice. Like I did a shift of that.
That didn't get blown away.
Yeah. But we were like walking through all of this to like one gas station, like a mile and a half away, that was just selling pizzas, like individual pizzas like this big for like $20.
Oh, wow.
And we were just going and getting pizzas. People were like running and sliding in mud and like wrestling in the Vista Way compound, the apartment complex.
Which that happened regardless of the weather.
It did. Yes. Vista Way was a very wild.
Vista Way was on Playboy's top 10 or top 5 places to get together, if you know what I mean.
Yes. And that it lived up to its reputation.
And I believe the hot tub was, I don't know why they had a hot tub, but the hot tub was the prime location.
I watched a guy eating a hot dog. Outside of the hot tub, there was a girl in the hot tub with a couple other people. He bit into the hot dog, it slid out of the bun and fell into the hot tub. And then she swallowed the hot dog. Like, which I think was a way of flirting. But it was like watching a snake unhinge its jaw. Like it was the scariest thing I'd ever seen. And again, I'm like 19 and I've never been on a date. So this place is like crazy to me, where it's like, yeah, this is like one of the best places to like get together with somebody. And I'm like, man, I don't even know what that means.
Yep. I get it.
I was in the Corey Matthews school of like handshake after a good date, you know?
Yeah. That year in 04, I was at Epcot at the United Kingdom. So I remember like every time that the hurricanes came, it was on a weekend, like a Friday, Saturday. I don't know why they decided to do that. I guess they had called their travel agent.
Yeah. When's the best time to ruin a family's vacation?
And showed up like unwanted guests, But yeah, it was incredible. I mean, like you said, they shut down the park, and it was like, because the only other time I ever saw them shut down the park was 9/11, and I wasn't there. I had called in sick that day, but I wasn't sick. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to go. I don't know why, but I had
Where were you?
home. I really was. I was home, and had this weird feeling. Like I was like, I don't want to go to work today. I wasn't just. I mean, I wasn't feeling it. Wink.
Oh, so you called out before knowing what was happening?
Yeah, absolutely, and I had no idea. Our bug guy told us it was like the exterminator came by, and I was watching a movie, and he's like, "Yeah, did you hear so and so or blah, blah?" I'm like, "What?" And I can barely hear him. I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah," and I thought he meant there was something happened in like a school or something. I'm like, "Oh man," because Columbine happened like 2 years before that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh no, not another bad situation." He's like, "No, in New York, the towers." I'm like, so I turn on the TV, and it's all that the second plane hit when that after when I just turned on, it was something I'll never forget. But that was the
I
time.
was in school.
You were in school?
I was in school in the Air Force JROTC, and
wow.
It was our uniform day. Like 2 times a week, we had to wear our full uniforms.
Right.
And I was like in my ROTC class, and they turned on the TV, and like they're like, "Okay, everyone in the ROTC, everyone in uniform, go home."
Right.
Because we were close enough to DC. Like once it hit, like went for the Pentagon and everything. They were like, we don't know if they're going to target people in uniform. And I was like, they're going to target like a 15-year-old kid in a blue uniform. Like, that's an in-depth attack. But
seriously, even though I had called in and I was an hour away from Disney, I still felt like after all that stuff happened, and then I was watching the news. Obviously, everybody was watching the news that day, and I noticed that they had closed the park early, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like I don't even remember I don't think it in the 30 years it was open. I don't think it ever got shut down early or whatever. So I had this sick feeling in my stomach, like, dude, this is. I mean, I knew it was bad, but I'm not saying when Disney shuts down it confirms that. I obviously knew what was going on, but I was like, what is going on? Like there's so much going on at one time. It's like this happened, and now they're in Washington D.C. and then Pennsylvania, and you're like, what next? Are they going to come? Like what's the next target? And nobody knew. And that was the fear of the unknown, which was crazy. But that year, the Hurricanes was, like I said, and they had the ride out crew. Have you ever done that? Did you ever
I didn't do the ride out.
Oh, the ride out crew was they would like put you up at one of the Disney hotels, and then you would still be working, so you were still getting paid, but you stayed in the hotel, and I don't think you were allowed to. I don't know if you were allowed to leave. I don't want to say you weren't, because that I could be completely wrong. I never got to do it because, again, every time the hurricane came, I was off. So I'm like,
coincidence, huh?
Yeah, coincidence? I think not. But the one hurricane went up the side of the east coast of Florida, got up to about Jacksonville, took a right, and then made a loop and went back over the state. I'm like, when it turned right, I go, oh, there it goes. It's gonna blow out, and then it goes, turn signal. It made an illegal U-turn, and the cop didn't have a hat on.
Yeah.
And he's like, you may go.
I like the cut of your jib, kid. Go ahead and be a hurricane over there again.
Go ahead. Be the best hurricane you can be. Cover the whole state. Who cares?
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store.
I remember after the hurricane, the first day going back into work, they were like, hey, we know things have been rough for everybody. Like a lot of people in Florida live in trailer homes. And they're like, we know a lot of bad stuff has happened. So we wanted to, lift your spirits. And they just had like 15 boxes of Uncrustables. And they were just like giving people Uncrustables. And I was like, what? Like, that's not going to be great compensation. Like if I was in a place where my home got blown away and I was like, things couldn't get any worse. And they're like, hey, I'm so sorry about your loss.
Yeah.
Grape or strawberry? Which would you prefer?
Or you do day parade and it's a billion degrees outside and they're like, Mickey sandwich? Or it was like a icy pop or whatever. It's like, oh, it's a Kadoozy?
Yeah.
Like,
I made that mistake so many times during I got to do the Christmas parade.
Yeah.
Which in 2004 won a daytime Emmy. So I always say I have like 1/200th of a daytime Emmy.
I love it. I love
my
it.
Performance.
Was that when Regis was there? Regis was there, right?
Yeah, I met Regis and Kelly.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like Kelly's kids. And then like I remember I was marching in the parade and I looked over and John Stamos was there.
Oh yeah.
And like
I've
never been like dumbfounded by beauty before in my life. But like
Italian stallion, baby.
I think he's Greek.
Or is he Greek?
He's Greek. The Italian stallion is Sylvester
My bad, that was Stallone.
Yeah. So like this. No, I saw him and I was just like guffawed. Like straight man.
Yeah.
Saw him. It was like that's the most beautiful person I've ever seen in person
in
my life.
The Greek, what do they call it? The Greek yogurt. That's what they call it. I'm kidding.
The Greek yogurt.
The Greek freak. That's what they call it. No, I'm just kidding.
Keeps you regular.
That's Giannis from the Bucks. Anyways, so yeah, that year I was trying to think. I was at Epcot, so I didn't get to do anything.
That's where we met.
That is where we met, at the DCOH bus.
Yeah, Disney
characters on holiday. We had to use an acronym for everything. So we had DCOH.
Man, I loved that bus. That was like
so
my
cool.
favorite shift.
Yeah, it was double-decker bus, red double-decker bus. It used to go. It had scheduled stops, so you went out to the front for 2 sets, and then you went out to World Showcase Plaza between the 2 towers. I think for 1 or 2, maybe, I can't remember. And then you went to Japan. Japan was the lunch set.
Yeah.
Which always unbuttoned the shirt, had an undershirt on it, unbuttoned the Bumblebee shirt, threw it on the bus. I said, I'll catch you. I'm going to go get some Japanese for lunch. I basically held up that whole compound with my Disney wages. the Yakitori house.
And we would always come back through the doors in Mexico.
Yes.
Right? Like, I remember that because I extended my college program the first year because I did have my first date. My first like ever kiss was at Pleasure Island, which no longer exists.
Yeah, never been.
Yeah, that was like underage dance club. I wonder why it shut down. But yeah, that was
underage drinking too. Which got you kicked off the program.
Yeah. If you got caught with alcohol at all, it was you have to be out by 11 a.m. the next day. Like there is no like messing around.
They don't play.
And that wasn't even drinking day. Like I met a girl who was also in the college program. She was my back-to-back actually. And,
okay.
So like whenever I would go out and do a set, I'd come back and she would tag out and go and do the set. And then we started dating. And then I ended up extending my college program so that, we could continue our relationship. And then we broke up right before the my first program ended. So like we broke up and I was like, great, now I'm here with a bunch of people I don't know, moving into a new place. But the point of the story is that I was there since I extended, I was there for my 21st birthday, and I got
Gotcha.
to do DCOH for my 21st birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
And is it cool if I say what character I was for that? Is that gonna mess anything up? Friends with?
Just say friends with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just say friends.
I was friends with Pinocchio's dad,
Oh, okay.
and
It's Padre.
yeah, and I had befriended a bunch of the girls who worked at the Mexican pavilion because my name was Justin, and it was before Bieber was even born, probably. So they were just like, "Oh, Justin, like Justin Timberlake," and I was like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And so they would like give me free food and
JT.
stuff during my lunch breaks. And so I told them, I wasn't old enough to drink and I was turning 21 soon. And so on that day, they knew I was turning 21 and they had a big sign up that for when we came back for our last shift, our last ride, and it said "Happy 21st birthday, Geppetto" on it. And I was just like, wow, that's going to make no sense to anyone but me. And I finished up my shift and I ran out there and they took me to drink around the world for free because everyone there lives together.
And everybody there has more money than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. They're much better taken care of.
No doubt.
They just like took me around. They were like everywhere we went, Germany, France, UK. They were like, it's his 21st birthday. And they're like, great. What are you drinking?
Yeah.
And they would just give it to me for free. And
let me get that Strongbow.
Yeah. And it's like, do you guys have Bud Light? Like, is there like a French version of that? Bud Light?
Yeah. The Strongbow is pretty awesome though. And they also had a apple cider, man. It was, oh my gosh, apples. And I think it's not pear cider. It's really good. I like the really sweet stuff. I don't really do beer. But
that was back when they had the yard glasses.
I was just about to say, go ahead.
I remember because it was like one of my first times, like seriously drinking around the world. I was like, I can do this. Like I'm young. I'm in the prime of my life.
It's a goal. It really is.
Yeah. I got so plastered that the next thing I know, I had taken 2 yard glasses, finished them. And then they used to have the street performers in Japan that would come out and like they'd play drums.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting next to them, crisscross applesauce with my yardsticks flipped upside down. And I was just banging on them along with them. And they just let me. Like no one said anything. And I was just like, this poor fellow.
He's having a good time.
Off his gourd, just banging on his yard glasses.
The yard glasses, they don't have those anymore at Epcot, but back in the day, it's the big, tall funnel. Looks like a French horn. Not a French horn, but you know what I'm saying? Like a big horn-like thing. What are those they have at the soccer games that they go, like it's
those things.
Like a bazoo or something like, you know what I mean?
I think you made that word up.
I think I did. I think it's
a bazoo.
It just makes
yeah.
So I had one of those and I'm like, and like I said, I wasn't like a big drinker or anything, but I wanted to get one just to say I've had one. And so the guy I got it in UK and the guy was trying to tell me like, all right, now when it gets to a certain level, I go, no, I know how to drink out of a glass, buddy. Okay. I know how to drink out of a glass. Well, I have had drinks out of a glass, but not like that. This thing has an air pocket in it.
Yeah.
And the young lad was trying to explain to me, and I said, you respect your elders. Don't try to tell me to just grab it from don't tell me how to drink. So I'm drinking.
I know how to drink out of a bazoo.
I know how to drink out of a bazoo, young man. So we're advancing through the park, and I get to where I'm like, oh, I need to tilt it up a little bit. So I tilted up a little bit, and it was like someone had opened a fire hydrant. It just whoosh, and it went all over my face, all over my shirt, and I was like
Stone Cold Steve Austin style.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Filling it all over yourself.
I think I had more beer, obviously more beer on me than in me, but the point is you gotta be, when someone tries to tell you something, you gotta give them at least humor them. Say, I don't know, but I'll listen to you and I can take it accordingly to what, however I want to do it. But
unless they tell you that,
Huh?
I said, unless they tell you that a state trooper cannot arrest you without their hat on.
You might want to do a Google research. I would have
do a little
Google
research.
Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709.
But that was my experience. And after that, I never got another because I knew I would go up to people and go, "Hey man, those are deadly. Watch out. You better hold your nose, buddy." And of course they would say, "I know how to drink out of a glass, you fool."
They should have just sold them by Splash Mountain, so it just looked natural.
Yeah. I didn't think about doing that. We could have put cold water in there on a hot day.
Yeah.
Because it's like literally like a punch. Like somebody just punched you right in the face. You're like, "Oh my gosh." Like they weren't kidding. So yeah, you turning 21 at Disney is very cool. I got to experience it the same way, but I think we might have went to Jelly Rolls. Did you ever get to Jelly Rolls?
Yeah.
Jelly Rolls?
We might have gone together one time.
I think we have because they had the ponies, the little 6-ounce beers,
yeah.
That they bring like 42 of them out there, and they'd like, "Sorry, we're sold out." They're like, "You just opened."
Yeah.
Like, when they're gone, they're gone. I'm like, "This isn't a Tickle Me Elmo, brother. It's beer." I mean,
yeah, go get more.
Not like, yeah. I mean, and then I don't know, but Jelly Rolls was a good time. That was always a fun place to go and hang out. But I never did PI. I never went there.
PI was good. I remember I went the first time that I went with my roommate from Oklahoma that I mentioned before. The first guy I met. I gave the speech at his wedding a couple of years ago. We've stayed friends the whole time.
Who knew you
he lives in DC now?
So yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
But yeah, we went to PI and there, I can't remember all the different clubs, but there was one that was called Mannequins.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It had a revolving dance floor.
Yeah.
And what we didn't know was that had somehow become like the gay bar.
Right.
Really. And so we, two young men looking to go dancing, went to Mannequins, and we got on the dance floor and we we're like, all right, let's find some girls to meet. And we look around and there's just all these other guys on the dance floor. And him and I are just like, all right, well, we're just gonna start dancing and see if like we can meet anybody. And so him and I are just dancing together on this revolving dance floor, surrounded by a bunch of other men who are dancing.
You got caught in the middle, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm starting to feel like maybe we're the only people here waiting for the girls to arrive. I think maybe we went to the wrong bar.
Yeah, man, I've always heard. Like I said, I never got to go. My sister, she went right before it closed. She was about to get married, and I want to say for her birthday, it was in September. She was getting married a month after that, and they went and they're like, "Oh, you should come with us," and I'm like, "Nah, I didn't even get to go to the comedy club. Like I would have loved to have gone, but it was just I was such a not a nighttime person. I mean, like clubs and stuff.
You're a very early bird.
I am an early bird, especially when I'm woken up by roommates to come get other roommates from a police altercation.
There's one time.
It happened once. Okay,
it just happened one time.
Hey, when he drove through that red light, and that was a cop. He
yeah.
Maybe he won't come.
The story behind that is that we all went. We had gone to Pleasure Island. We had gone to House of Blues.
Okay.
And you were staying with me, but I don't think you came out with us.
No, I didn't go. I didn't go. I had to go to work the next day.
Yeah, I think I did too. I was not responsible. And we went to the House of Blues, and they used to have this like rave party or whatever every, I think, like Sunday night. And so we went there, and my roommate who was supposed to drive us back was this Southern guy from Tennessee, and he just kept drinking. But he was doing it while we weren't around. So we were also drinking, assuming we had a ride back.
Right.
And we're driving back, and he is drunker than you should be to drive. But we were all just like, we're all too drunk to drive. And there wasn't like Ubers or anything like that.
No, no.
We didn't have cell phones.
And the cabs cost like $4. It like the ticker was like, it starts at 4 and they punch it and you're like, God dang, I'm up to $78 right now. And we haven't done 2 miles.
Then they just like make wrong turns, like, that's terrible. They just keep.
I know a shortcut. Don't worry. I got a shortcut.
Exactly. So we get up to like Earlo Bronson, and we're gonna make a left, and the light's turning red, and he goes, I'm gonna make it. And I was like, no, you're not. Stop. There's a cop right at the other side of that intersection waiting at this light. And he goes, and I was like, it's turning red. He goes, no, we got this. And he like drove and like turned, and like it was well past the light turning red. And he was like, see, I told you. And the cop pulled us over. And I'm like, great, I told you. And the cop like comes over, he goes, all right, guys, so where are we coming from? And we're both wearing like button-up shirts, and we've got like wristbands from the bar on our wrist. And my roommate looks at him and goes, Walmart. He's like, you guys got dressed up to go to Walmart? And he goes, yeah, we like going to Walmart. I'm like, dude, this isn't working out. And like while he's talking, I'm like ripping my wristband off like underneath the dashboard, like just in case the cop buys it.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, have you guys been drinking? And he was like, oh, maybe like 1 beer, but that's about it. And he goes, all right, well, let's see your license and registration. And he reaches over to his glove compartment to get that. When he opens it, a whole bunch of shotgun shells fall out. And the cop's like, let me see your hands. And I immediately throw my arms up. And my roommate is like, hold on, I'm getting my license and registration. He goes, sir, I need to see your hands. He goes, I'll get them up. And he's still rooting through this thing that just had shotgun shells in it. And the cop has his like gun drawn at us. Yeah. And like, fortunately,
that'll sober you up right there.
Yeah. And he like, my friend has like no fear for some reason. And he like pulls out his license and registration, and it's in like a little booklet, and he hands it to the officer. And the officer's like, sir, can you please take it out of the case or whatever? And he goes, yeah. And he like pulls the registration out and then hands the guy back the case. And the guy's like, all right, sir, I need you to step out of the car.
Oh my gosh.
And I sit there and I watch him do this sobriety test. And I'm like also like on the car, I have my hands on the hood of the car. I don't even think they asked me to do it. I just saw it in movies. And I was like, here you go. Like, I'm not a threat. And he fails. And they're like, all right, you're coming with us. And I'm like on the side of the road, and the cop goes, do you think you can drive home? And I was like, this is a test. No, I don't think I can. He's like, how far do you live? I was like, a couple miles down the road, like not far at all. And he's like, do you have anybody you can call? And I don't even know how. I called the house, but I don't know.
Who's your other roommate?
Yeah.
That was your other roommate.
Yeah, my roommate Scott came.
Scott,
yeah, the one from Oklahoma.
Okay. Oh, that's who that is. Okay.
Yeah, Scott. So he went and got you.
Yeah,
and then
I'm on the couch.
Woke you up. Yeah. Passed out sober, and you come and pick me up. And then we get back to the house, and I'm like talking with Scott about what we have to do, how we're going to get our friend AJ out of jail. And while we're doing that, we're just still like having drinks so we can like brainstorm. And like, we're like, all right, well, we can't do anything right now because we're drunk. So we can't go out. And we waited till the next morning, which wasn't that long since it was like 3 in the morning. 4
it was like 3 more hours. The sun breaks.
Yeah. And so we like napped, and then we drove to the prison, the jail where they had him. And I like went and I was like, hey, I'm here to see AJ. And they're like, we can't let you back there. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I was being indignant with the jail people. Like, I'm like hungover and tired. And I was like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to write him a note. Can you pass the note? They go, no, we can't do that. Like, that's not how this works. Like, how do I get in contact with him? They're like, he gets a phone call. He can call you.
Yeah.
And like, it just spiraled from there. We eventually like got him out through a different bail bonds person. He was like, and then like a month later, he moved to Tampa and he had to like keep coming back to Orlando for like court appointments.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he got his like license.
$10,000, bro.
Yeah.
That's 10 grand right there. DUI is 10 grand.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'll never forget that. Scott wakes me up and I'm like, what's going on, man? He goes, hey man, you got to go get Justin. And then AJ got pulled up. They got pulled over. AJ got arrested. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I get there and you're just like chilling, like, hey, Bill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Oh no, he dropped me off because I had to drive your car back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was. Scott drove me. We got in his car. He drove me over there. He dropped me off. I drove, or did they impound the car? I don't remember driving his car back.
No, you drove his car back.
I did drive his car back. Okay. That's what I thought. Cause I'm like, he can't drive it. So I had to drive it back for him. But yeah, man, I stayed with you quite a bit, man. I remember that's the first time I ever played the Wii. Like that was the game console. I'm like, heck yeah, dude. I'm in there playing some tennis.
Yeah.
Bowling.
Some Wii Sports.
Dude, some home run derby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. So working at Disney, I was asking, I just had my friend Celia on, Celia Wayne, used to be Celia Wayne. And she, we got to talking about the parks and stuff. And I was like, what was one of your favorite parks, like going to and work? Not even, we'll leave it off the Disney fan side. We'll say working side first. So what was your favorite park to work at?
Toss up between Magic Kingdom and Epcot. Because of DCOH.
Yeah.
Need to do it with you. And then I got to do the little like house in London or UK.
Oh yeah.
I remember one time I got to get up on stage with the Beatles band they had there and like dance with them. And
that was the British Invasion.
Yeah. Fake Ringo let me like pretend to play the drums. Like it was like the coolest. So I love that. And Magic Kingdom is just like, it's just so classic. Like I love like the utilidors there, like the underground secret passages we're not allowed to talk about. But yeah, I loved that. And I loved like, I felt like I ran into way more like kids at Magic Kingdom that were like just entranced by the magic. Like Animal Kingdom, everyone's so hot.
They're hot, they're mad.
Hollywood Studios, it's usually like older teenagers who want to ride the like thrill rides. Magic Kingdom is like
kids.
That's where you like go and it's like this is your first like
experience.
Right. And like, that's where I would like whenever they would have like a Make-A-Wish kid and I'd be able to get to see a Make-A-Wish kid like and do that. Like those are my absolute favorite times. Because I had an older sister who passed from cancer when she was like 3.
Oh wow.
So like whenever I saw a Make-A-Wish kid, I was like, hey, if they want me to fly, I'll figure out how to fly. Like whatever they want me to do right now, I'm gonna do.
Yeah, no doubt Disney is a big advocate for Make-A-Wish. They go so far above and beyond for them, and rightfully so. I mean, it's such a great program. I loved going over there to. They had a breakfast over there they'd have random people show up, but I got to do that a few times, and it was so cool. Of course, they have their own characters and stuff, but nothing beats going to their where you're staying and having a character come to you. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to seek them out. They come find you, and that's like that makes the experience even more magical,
And the thing is, like, there is no like I interacted with a lot of Make-A-Wish families. there
Yeah.
was like zero entitlement from anybody. Like you're
Right.
getting special
Absolutely.
treatment. There was never, it was always
Absolutely.
thank you so much, or
Yes.
you made our day.
Yes.
Like I just remember being like, you're always sweating in the costumes, but I just remember like weeping in the costumes and just
Yeah.
being like, I've got a giant smile on my face outside, but like inside I am breaking down, like
Yeah.
just
I had
some
to
of the
make
most rewarding experiences of my life.
right. I had a Make a Wish child come in one time in Toontown, and this young lady was in a wheelchair, and she had all the. I mean, she had hoses hooked up to her galore, and I was having a. I think I was having a bad day that day, and I just thought, my God, what am I doing? Like, I don't even. I have something so non-exist. My problems are nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought I had problems, and this young lady has a smile on her face, and she can't even breathe on her own. And it just humbled me immediately. Like I will never forget. And I don't remember the child's name, but I will never forget that child because it made me realize that look, your problems, which you think, they always say your worst day is your worst day. They always say whatever's the worst that's ever happened to you, it really is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. But there could be far more things that could have happened to you. Um,
Yeah.
and this young lady had a smile on her face. I'll never forget. I When they left, I teared up. I was so uh, emotional because that's like, oh my gosh, how selfish can you be? Thinking that your problems that are nothing compared to what she's going through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you talk about hundreds of kids that you've seen, probably over 1,000 kids that you've seen that come and go, and that we're able to make that dream or wish come true. And it's a very powerful thing, something that you'll never
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah. Hearing someone be like, you're my favorite. I remember I had someone come in and the kid couldn't talk.
Uh-huh.
Like it was bad. And they were in
Yeah.
a wheelchair and the mother was like crying. She's like, you are her favorite
Oh
character.
yeah. Yeah.
She drew this picture, colored in this picture, and they
Yeah.
like gave it to me, and I gave it to one of the attendants. I was like, just under the thing, like, hold on to this, like I'm
Right.
keeping this.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
like, and you know how during the sets we would have sometimes it would be 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, or 45
Yeah.
minutes on, 45
Yeah.
minutes off. Um, and I think indoors it was 30, or indoors it was longer, 40 and 40, something like that. And so I had already, they were the last family I was seeing. And I had someone ready to like tag out and replace me. And they're like, it was at Toontown. And so Mickey's Toontown Fair, they've got the gift shop. I can't remember what it's called.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The Hall
So
of Fame gift shop. Yeah.
yeah, they have that.
I
And
spent many days in there, brother.
yeah, I remember we used to have a dance party out there.
Yeah, at the very end of the night. Sometimes they'd have characters ride, like Goofy would ride the Barnstormer. He'd bring a couple other characters on there with him. And
Yeah.
Cinderella always wanted to know why she couldn't ride the Barnstormer. I don't know. She was like, she's really upset about that.
Yeah,
But
I took this kid. It was the last, like, not my last set even. It was just like middle of the day. And they're like, yeah, we're going out this way. And the mother was trying to like get the wheelchair over one of the like door lips.
right.
And so I just like nudged her out of the way and I started pushing. And they were like, oh, and the kid like looked back at me and just smiled, like the biggest smile.
Yeah.
And my attendant was like, all right, time to go. And I was
Yeah.
like, nope. And I pushed for an extra like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I pushed this kid around the like gift shop
Yeah.
while they were like picking stuff out. And then it got to the point where when I went back to try to go through the room, they had already put my back to back in the room. And they, because there was a line of people. And so I
Right.
had to be like escorted through a different way so we didn't like run into each other.
Right.
And like it's hot in those costumes, but I didn't feel a thing. Like I was
Right.
just like completely in the zone for this kid. Like I'll never forget that.
Well, that's the thing is a lot of people don't realize. I mean, like I had no idea uh, just how much of an impact that the entertainment department itself had on people like guests in the parks and stuff. Like when you say it doesn't matter, I can still say to people that I worked at Disney, and I can tell them, oh, I work for my current job now, and they go and they don't really care. But I can say, oh, I worked at Disney for 17 years. What did you do? You know, it doesn't matter what I did. Like they don't care. They're just like, you worked at Disney? That's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it was really cool. But the entertainment department is very, I mean, obviously it's such a big family. There's so many people, and people have come and gone and stuff. And we lose people all the time. And it's just like they're real family. Like you hear about them passing, and it hurts you just as much if it was your immediate family. We were really close.
And I mean, that's Disney in general. Like, because I worked the Jungle Cruise too. Like when I moved back down there to just be like a resident, and my knees were too bad to get back into character costumes. I did the Jungle Cruise, and when we would lose a skipper or something, it was like losing a member of the family.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part podcast. Check out full episodes on YouTube and Spotify.